Samanta Cakkavalesu Anta Gaccantu Devata Saranamma Munirajase Suntu Sargamukadam Dhammasavanipalu Payam Padanta Dhammasavanipalu Payam Padanta Dhammasavanipalu Payam Padanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Naham bhikkhave anyam ekadhammam visamupassami yatayam bhikkhave cittam bhikkhave bhavito bahulye kato mahto vattaya sanvattati. Dear friends of Dharma, so I appreciate if you put your cell phones to flight mode. It is not extremely necessary, and there is time we need that you might need to watch your WhatsApp account so that I can show some slides. Till that time, you can keep it quiet. So, dear friends, today's topic is the significance of goal setting in Buddhist path of liberation. Buddha, in many occasions, Buddha taught us how powerful our mind is. So I quoted such a phrase, which is seen in the Anguttara Nikaya, numerical discourses with the same. For months, I don't see anything else in this world like this mind, which, when developed, becomes a great, immensely beneficial force. Mind, when developed, become immensely beneficial. And also, the Buddha of mighty compassion showed us the opposite side also. What is the opposite side of what I say? This mind, when neglected, when not developed properly, it becomes a source of immense misery. And you can, of course, easily see the second phenomenon in this world, domestically, in this island, and also internationally, how true that is. So, everybody, almost all practicing Buddhists, they know that we really need purification of mind. That is another term used for, because it's bhavana, meditation. However, regarding the way of purification, there seems to be some confusion. Why do I say so? Now, about 40 years ago, there was a popular sentiment in Buddhist circles that many people, almost all Buddhists, having done some meritorious deed, they aspire to see the next perfect enlightened Buddha in person and attain liberation following his guidance. And about 30 years ago, I can remember one particular famous monk in Sri Lanka. He popularized the view that we should attain liberation in this very life. So that was that gained momentum. And if somebody spoke somewhat different to that particular goal, some people even ridicule that aspiration, thinking, oh, you are misled, you don't know what we are doing, it is unproductive, so on and so forth. So after about 15 years from that time, again we heard the same famous monk was saying, what we should do is we have to attain liberation in this very Buddha Sasana. So those two are different, attaining liberation in this very life. And when it comes to attaining liberation in this very sasana, the time frame is broader. Because generally it is accepted that about 25 centuries more, this sasana will exist to bless others. And then, after about 15 years from that point, again we hear the same monk popularizing the view. Nowadays, the best way to attain liberation is to be born in heaven. So let us accrue meritorious deeds, virtue, punya, and be born in the heaven. So all those expectations, they are not bad themselves. They have some element of truth. I mean, they are good in a sense. They are not bad. But this scenario says us that, when our mind is shifting with regard to our goal or the way we attain our final goal of liberation, it says that those aspirations are not well thought out. They are not well considered, not well reasoned out, not well thought out. That is why many people shift their focus so that our discussion matters. If our mind is shifting and indecisive in this manner, it is unlikely that we fulfill paramis to attain liberation in any path, because it is a demanding task to fulfill paramis to attain our goal. And when it comes to a suggestion like let's be born in heaven to attain liberation, that is the best way. I have read that now we cannot guarantee safe path to liberation just because of a heavenly birth. Because if we have not attained enough maturity, the heavenly birth itself cannot help us. We see evidence, we see situations like, some group of God called Mara. So they were divine beings, and they just harassed Buddha and his disciples and accrue a lot of good karma, bad karma. They were heavenly beings, but they were antagonistic. They were enemies of very innocent people called the Buddha and his followers. Buddha and his followers, generally, they were very harmless, innocent people. And they were harassed by some gods. This kind of things happen. And actually, it seems they are motivated because of their arrogance and also conceit. There are no other reasons to explain their violent behavior. So, heavenly birth has some value. I'm not talking against that, but whether it is helpful for you to attain liberation or not, depend upon your long-term plan and also how mature you are. Dear friends, as the worldlings for Puthujjana, one of the biggest threat we have as ordinary people, unenlightened people, is if we cannot attain the holiness, at least Sotapanna stage in this life, there is no guarantee that we can be born in a blissful realm or sugati, which is conducive to our practice. That is a great risk of being a Puthujjana. So we have that challenge. How to make sure if we cannot attain liberation in this very life, how can we be born in a good realm that supports our practice, this learning process, fulfilling paramis? How can we do that? So this is one challenge. So this attaining liberation is something very demanding. It is an uphill journey. Right? It is an uphill journey. Actually, it can be argued that the most difficult thing to be done in this samsaric journey is attaining liberation. Attaining liberation taught by the Buddha. Liberation is a term with a wide connotation. Some yogis, spiritual leaders, in some other traditions also talk about liberation. Let's say Hindu people, Hindu yogis. So there is a clear difference between the liberation taught by Hindu yogis and Buddha's liberation. The liberation espoused by the Buddha is it is Anutpada Nirodha. It is cessation in such a way that no defilements would ever arise again. It is going beyond the point of no return. And when the other sasanas or other liberations are considered, they are vulnerable to perishing, in the sense that relapse is inevitable. They are not permanent states. Now in Christianity, we hear taking a heavenly birth as their goal. And from Hindu yogis, we hear being born in the Brahma world as high gods with meditative bliss throughout their life. Buddha did not deny that the existence of such states or existence, but Buddha pointed out all those states are conditioned states. Therefore, when conditions fall apart, the fruit it will disappear, and they are just band-aid solutions, trivial solutions for a perennial problem of mankind. So, in many discourses, Buddha taught us, pointed out that attaining liberation taught by the Buddha is, it is difficult. It is not easy. We hear a stanza, Appakate manusyesu yedana paragaminam ataya nitarapaja tirmevamu dahavate. In this world, those who reach farther shore are few when compared to the majority of people. They just stay in the hither shore. They don't cross over the ocean of samsara. They don't attain liberation. So we should explore and learn how to be among the chosen few, so to speak. How to conquer our challenge. It is something very important. Now, there was a researcher, a famous researcher called Stephen Covey. He, having surveyed many literature in, I think, past 150 years, his research question, he wanted to explore what are the habits of highly successful people, how some people attain hard to attain goals. What do they have in common? What can we learn from them? And this research really matters. It resonates with our topic today. And there are things we can learn. One very important fact he tells us is that successful people, those people who attain difficult goals, they begin with the end in mind. They begin with the end in mind. Actually, this is nothing new to Buddhism. We are taught that let's say, our Bodhisattva, as the Buddha to be, as aspiring Buddha or the Bodhisattva, many Buddha years ago, right? He was known as the ascetic Sumedha. So ascetic Sumedha has some goal to attain liberation as an all enlightened Buddha. He knew his Bodhi. He knew where he's going to end. He started the journey with that goal in his mind. And many other accounts also we find saying the same thing, that successful yogis who conquered the Mara's power, who conquered death, they started clearly with the end, they began with the end in their mind. So, we also should remember it. And also when it comes to our topic of goal setting, dear friends, there are 3 bodhis. Now, some people, some present-day Buddhists, they are selective in learning Dharma. Even if they learn a portion of what Buddha taught, in a way it is agreeable, it is good, it should be praised. However, cherry-picking ideas of such a great philosophy, in a way it is, lackadaisical, it amounts to some pama, heedlessness also. It can be argued in that way also. Now, let's say many Westerners, when they learn Buddhism and also in their meditative journey, they focus on the journey here and now. The liberation, the freedom they talk about, they focus. There is something called secular Buddhism. These secular Buddhists, they mainly focus on the freedom here and now. They just want to reduce their stress, anxiety, and manage their day-to-day life in a better, more efficient way. But Buddha, he often pointed out, he showed us a big picture. That big picture is not often discussed in the Western circles. In many teachers, we can see that. The instructions of the Satipatthana Sutta should be understood in light of the big narrative, big picture taught in many other suttas. Many suttas in the long discourses, middle length discourses, we hear about the samsaric journey. We hear about basically the theme of the mundane right view. Mundane right view constitutes of, there is what is given, there is this life, there is the next life, there is karma, there is the fruit of karma, there are heavenly beings, there are Buddhas who, take this path and proclaim their attainments, observations. In short, in the Western circles, of course, generosity, they often talk about that, but rest of the factors of mundane life, I have noticed that that discussion is, those factors are lacking in their discussion. So both these, it really matters in our journey. Our goal should be set, knowing our options to attain liberation. So the first goal is by being perfectly enlightened Buddha, one can attain liberation. And that is an option. That is an option, and we should know that. As I mentioned earlier, the ascetic called Sumedha, he determined to attain liberation in that way. And the second one, by being a Pacceka Buddha, one can attain liberation. And these specific channels, they have their own specific, advantages and disadvantages. To become an enlightened Buddha, it takes a very long duration, but you can render a great service to the mankind and even to all beings. And being a Pacceka Buddha, to become a silent Buddha, the training period, so to speak, it is less than the all enlightened Buddha. But he does not teach. That is why he is called silent Buddha. And the third one, as a disciple of the all enlightened Buddha, perfectly enlightened Buddha, one can attain liberation. And that is the path taken by most of the people. And in that category also, there are chief disciples of the Buddha, what we call Agra Savaka in Sinhala. So let's say Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana, they aspire to be chief disciples of the Buddha in a previous Buddha Sasana. In most of such people who became enlightened, they had aspired, they made their firm determination to be liberated in the tenure of the Padumuttara Buddha. And that is where they establish their goals. So in that category also, I told you that there is some diversity. Disciples have diverse perspectives, how they are motivated, what makes sense, how do they make sense of their lives, in what way they make a difference in this world. People are diverse, the ways they contribute to the society, and also how they progress in the path of liberation, they are diverse. So, again, let's say Venerable Ananda, he had aspired to be enlightened as the chief attendant of the Buddha, this Buddha. So he made that aspiration, but he made that kind of goal setting. And not only that, he fulfilled various necessary courses to reach that level. And he, thankfully, we are very grateful that somehow they, against all odds, they succeeded. That is why we see this great treasure called Buddha Sasana. Again, the notable nun called Dhammadinna, she had aspired to become the most excellent nun among the nuns who explained what Buddha taught, Dhammadinna. And Buddha appreciated, extolled, praised Dhammadinna for this attainment. And we hear many such people, lay people, and and also monastics who had aspired to attain liberation in many ways. And we should know that, and also we should reflect on for ourselves, we should reflect on in which manner, in which sasana, and in which manner am I going to attain liberation. We have to be specific. This really matters. I will tell you what I am telling you today, teaching you today is evidence-based. Everything I am teaching today is evidence-based, and I am going to show you, explain you how did I come to my conclusion, and how I develop my argument. So again, we hear about people like the notable wealthy person called Anepidisitituma, Anathapindika. He had aspired to become the best benefactor in this particular Buddha Sasana, Gautama Buddha's Buddha Sasana. Now we also have to understand that, let's say now, Venerable Dhammadinna, that Bhikkhuni, the nun, when she was appreciated, right, it does not mean to underestimate many other nuns and lay women who contributed to the sasana in their capacity. Right? Now, when the best one is appreciated in public, when she was honored, many people, many women, nuns of the same category, they are also appreciated. And their service rendered to the society, it is also appreciated. So we have to understand, among all the main disciples of the Buddha, we have to understand the phenomenon in the same manner. So now, when our contemporary Buddhists are concerned, it seems that many people do not have that kind of a well thought out plan regarding their attainment. Generally, they are motivated by the common sentiment of the society that is just emotion based. What we really need is some investigation based, reflection based, research based plan to attain our liberation. Otherwise, what happens is, if your mind is shaky with regard to the sasana and the way you attain liberation, let's say, in the samsara, you come across you observe the twin miracles of the Buddha. It is said that the displaying of twin miracles of a perfectly enlightened Buddha, it is a stunning and spectacular scene. Only a perfectly enlightened Buddha can do this. And if you observe that, your mind will incline to be an all-enlightened Buddha. And this has happened to many people. It is recorded in our text. Again, if you observe the glory of silent Buddha, Pacceka Buddha, your mind will shift to follow that path. Because you see the beauty. It has some beauty, but you have to stick with one particular goal, with one particular time frame of the attainment. Right? If you do not establish your mind in one particular goal regarding our path of liberation, let's say if you see the beauty of some specific enlightened disciple of the Buddha, maybe Venerable Moggalla, Venerable Ananda, Dhammadinate, that kind of person, your mind might incline towards that end. So there is nothing wrong in those aspirations, but you have to purposefully, you should have some well thought out plan regarding your attainment. The goal should be specific and you should be resolute to attain it that way. Otherwise, when your mind is not settled, when it is indecisive, you will not attain paramis, you will not be able to fulfill perfections and hone your abilities to attain liberation in any of those channels. This is the problem. So that you have to understand your values. People have various values. Some people like to make a difference in this world. Some people like to heal others. Some people like to help the underprivileged. And some people like to maintain and protect the tradition, culture. Some people like to be leaders. So, actually, Buddha Sasana, in a broad perspective, they can accommodate all such goals as long as they are benevolent and compassion based. We have diverse, channels in that sense. There are traditionalists, even among arahants. They are benefactors. Now the behavior of Venerable Mahakashyapa Thero and Venerable Ananda, they are somewhat different. You can see, right? They are more good people and they have somewhat different perspective towards life. So, how to proceed from this somewhat indecisive level? So, my good teacher, Venerable Dr. Thero, because of this condition, he encourages people to leisurely think of their own goal, and he suggests that we should make some firm determination to decide our goal of liberation, the manner, our plan, before the end of this life. He suggests that having done, various meritorious deeds, as an example, after doing good meditation session, having paid homage to the Buddha, and also having performed the Katina ceremony, etc., your mind is strong, it is calm, it is clear. At that kind of moment, make the wish to come to some conclusion regarding your goal. So you have to do some survey on your part. Sometimes, dear friends, you might have done such an aspiration in previous lives. It is possible, and that might be, you might have forgotten that. Then, what you should do is, when your mind is calm, having inspired your mind following some good meditation session or whatever inspiring meritorious thing you do, try to surface that memory, try to awaken that memory. What is your specific goal regarding final liberation? And If you cannot do it alone, you can get the support of your spiritual friends. And also, you can get the help of right thinking boards. Right? So the way is, again, having done meritorious deeds, you can invite them to share your merits. Many Sri Lankans do. Unfortunately, among American Theravadis, I don't see this. I didn't notice. Even regarding famous Bhante Gunaratana, in his sermons, that part was omitted. And by the way, he has done a great service. But maybe when we go to the West, we try to be westernized. And when I was teaching there, of course, I also, to some extent, I adapted my teaching to the West because otherwise some people might misunderstand. Some Native Americans, Canadians, they might not understand what we do. There are such practical problems. So here, of course, we share our merits with gods, devas, and that really matters, right? In this case, you can request help from those gods who share your merits, because, my dear friends, those who had been your dear, loving mothers, fathers, teachers, some of them might be in the heavens already. Some of them might be matured enough to guide you. Such guidance, we can see it had happened during the time of the Buddha. It is not something new. So I'm not going to take time to explain such episodes, narratives here. So you can ask their support for this, task of deciding your goal in this journey. Most important thing is you should not be swayed by the general sentiment of the society. Generally, what many people say is, oh, in this very life, don't talk about anything else. But I have observed in my research, most of those claims are just emotion based, purely emotion based. They are not research based, they are not evidence based, they are not well thought out plans. Even among the Buddhists, some of the Buddhist preachers, we can see that the ideas are flighty, not steady. So that you have to think for yourself. What are your values? And also, if your goal is benevolent for both yourself and others, if your goal is beneficial to both yourself and others, that is more fruitful because it gives you some sense of purpose and meaning. It gives you some sense of purpose and meaning to your life. And such people are more likely to succeed in this long, tedious journey because it is encouraging. There are many ways we can set our goals. So it is important to have some goal, keep some goal, set some goal, probably something that benefits both yourself and others. Why do I say so again? Now, as a monk, I was invited many years ago to teach in the Dharma school. So that is some extra work. True. There is some risk also. What is the risk? Some monks have withdrawn because of Dharma school. So I don't need to explain how and why. This general knowledge of Sri Lankan Buddhists, there are certain risks. However, I accepted the invitation and somehow I survived without any problems, without any relapses of my conduct. And I understood clearly that when I try to teach others, when I try to help young people, I have learned a lot. Apart from good karma, I possibly approved in this teaching career. I have learned a lot. It is famously said that when you teach something, you learn that for the second time. So true. So, service to others and service to yourself, they are both interconnected and interrelated. So, we should remember that also in our mind. Now, we have to pay our attention. So, we should try to make a firm wish. And also, another important thing, having done the glorious deeds, we have to make some aspiration for that wish to be remembered at an earlier age in the next life. If you do your channeling, your determination well, if you do not attain liberation in this life, chances are very high that you can be reborn in a good place, in the human world or in the heaven, right? And even in the human realm, if you do not remember that wish, probably at a very young age, there can be a lot of confusion and derailing from the path. So that wish also, this aspiration, this mental aspiration, they have great power. And we can use that to organize our journey in this otherwise unpredictable samsara. So, what are the benefits of having a fixed goal? There are many benefits and there are many studies done to prove these points. And that is why I told you, my suggestions, teachings are evidence-based. Evidence-based. So, one important thing, when you have a clear goal, right, your behavior becomes well organized. Your behavior is well organized and, many incidents become a part of some meaningful goal. When there's a goal, you can see that phenomenon happening. Behavior becomes well organized and it arouses very strong energy. Strong energies aroused when you have a clear goal. And also, many random events become part of a meaningful journey when you have a clear goal. Otherwise, people do good deeds randomly. They remain isolated and good. They are good, still good, but they don't become part of the meaningful journey. How to make your all good deeds meaningful related to this fact is to have a specific goal. So that goal setting is very important in our life. And also, when you have a clear goal, if you don't have a clear goal, the power of determination would be very low. Determination is a very great force. It is taught as one of the perfection. PERMA is also determination. Adittan, your determination it would be very low if you do not have a specific goal. Now, as an example, when people welcome a new year, they make New Year resolutions. They make determinations, let's say, to eat healthy food, to do regular exercises, and also to quit alcohol, quit smoking, to be a better wife, better husband, etc., etc. They make resolutions. Now, can you tell me, as a percentage, how many people succeed those New Year resolutions? Can you guess? 80% succeed. Only 30% succeed according to research. So this is the sad, predicament. And researchers observe that those who have a specific goal in their life, they are likely to adhere with that resolution, and they can cut down on that sugar intake, to avoid junk food, to do regular exercises, and also to do whatever they want to achieve, because the goal is something big in their life, and alcohol and sugar is very mean when compared to their goals. That is why they strive to attain those goals. So you see the power of goal setting. And also, when we have a specific goal, what we did in the past and what we do now get aligned to show a clear, coherent pattern with that goal. Right? There should be some specific pattern of what we do. Otherwise, some people we can say, they are just indecisive. There are even some, I'm not blaming anybody, but not criticizing for the wrong reason. But when you observe the behavior, even of some religious, notable religious leaders here, Buddhist monks also, sometimes there is some incoherence of what they did, what they do now, and permanent life goal. So when you have a clear goal related to this path of liberation, what you did in the past and what you do now are aligned with the future goal to show some coherent pattern. And it is beautiful to watch. You know that you are moving forward. And this phenomenon itself has this ehipassiko quality. Ehipassiko means you can invite to come and see. Ehipassiko. And also, when you have set a clear goal, you will understand that you can learn from any opportunity, each and every moment, and even negative things people shy away from, they become part of your learning. You know how to learn from it. And your genuine friends, Kalyana Mithas, will show you how to learn from each and every opportunity. And also, when you have a clear goal, when you have set a good goal, naturally you will reflect on what is the best thing to do right now. What is the best thing to do right now? Now, a couple of years ago, there was some economic downfall, right? So many people just ran away from the country. Is that what we should do? If, let's say, if people of Canada, America, and countries like Japan, they had even more catastrophic moments in the past. If those people also ran away from their country, do they have this glorious Japan, America, or Canada, United Kingdom, for our people to visit? So, when we have a good goal, I think we can make better decisions. All problems come with an opportunity to learn. Each and every problem comes with an opportunity to learn, and we explore that opportunity, and we use that when we have a clear goal. And when we have a clear goal, instead of being emotional, we become reflective and investigative. In this society, we can see many people, when talking about social issues, political issues, they are very emotional. That is a sign of immature nature. And instead of being emotional, when you set a good goal, especially related to this path, you can be investigative, reflective, and you can learn a lot. Unless you have a specific goal, right? Lofty ideas like wisdom, compassion, they just remain as concepts in the book. They are not applied in the real life situation. They don't become part of a practical journey. There are many just concepts, metta, compassion, wow, they read, cram, and put on the paper and pass exams. Even one might attain high degrees, even PhDs, but those things do not become expressed in one's behavior. And if you have a specific goal, you will learn, and those ideas will shine through your life. So we have such benefits when you have a firm goal. So that having setting goal setting is very important in our life. So to sum up, this is something important in your path. Otherwise, you will be swayed by various trends, mostly generated by emotion-based, masses. They are emotion-based. What we really need is reflection-based, evidence-based selection of your goal. And then we can really progress in our path. So, thank you very much for listening. Yes.
They also either to put on chat or come and unmute.
So for those who have this WhatsApp, I have created some slides, simple slides, to educate you further on the some practical aspects of our goals and how to achieve them, how to keep motivated. So if you have got those slides in your WhatsApp, you can watch it. And unfortunately, with the Zoom group, today I cannot share them because there is some technical problem in sharing on Zoom. We are sorry for that. So if you have questions regarding this, what I share, so it is time to ask your questions.
They can unmute.
Yeah, please unmute and speak, otherwise we cannot hear you.
Maybe Bante, that was a very thought-provoking presentation. Not from that we have a setting goal. And as Bante said, there seems to be, I was reminded of, I can't remember, there are calls. They have that there was a very indirect someone who wrote PERMA, who wrote about other ones sitting around at that time. So not just the present day, sometime ago. And he says, so actually, he's like, those are two Mahakasana, his lifestyle. It was a Western Hungarian he was always walking from place to place, he never take a different place. He's now no more because around also. And then there were two people who actually in this society, I should say, were venerated. One was called Victor Pillay, the other one was, I don't think it was named Davis. Both of them got ordained, the Catholics who came here and said to the Dhamma, and talking of long ago, he employs. That means Davis. And they became very monks. One was came with the, and the other was finally. It's a significant program, but they were so like the other one was it's just not coming anymore. We are very good friends, we did things together, and we look different in the projects. This article said how we and found parallels. I don't know whether they are goal setting or what, but we were able to saw parallels of the months of that time. So it's probably the 56 weeks. And work like that. So I don't know how that happens, but as long as that goal is not an attachment, you can't just think that you become somebody who you don't know where they are.
Yes, yes, thank you. So that elicits one important issue. Of course, I also tell you that now, when I tell you about that kind of goals, setting that kind of goals which lead one to become an whole enlightened Buddha, chief disciple of the Buddha, even in a theory like Dhammadina, some people might think that isn't this creature arousing our craving? Because that can be interpreted in that way also. Please remember, craving also sometimes can be helpful. Once Buddha said, Tannan Nisaya, Tannan Pahatabha. What does that mean? Based on craving, eliminate craving. Based on craving, eliminate craving, eradicate craving. Again, he said, based on mana, based on conceit, eradicate conceit. Sometimes it is doable. As an example, now increasingly, forest fires or bush fires are rare in the world thanks to global warming. And sometimes thousands of acres are burned. Now, because of the direction of the wind, firefighters can predict this is the way fire is going. Now, one way to stop this fire, massive fire, is by using the fire itself. Can anybody suggest how to do that? How can we arrest a fire using fire itself? Suppose the raging fire is coming from my right direction, right? And in a strategically important place, one forest a selected area in a controlled way, that forest is burned on purpose before that fire comes here, and this fire is controlled. And when the natural fire comes to this particular strategically important point, it is extinguished because there is no fuel. It is already burned. So, long story short, craving also sometimes can be instrumental in eradicating craving. It can be done. Now, I would like to go back to one very important teaching of the scholars called positive psychology. Positive psychology is the latest branch of psychology, and they have come up with some important model called PERMA model. So I think Dr. Manori had sent you that on WhatsApp. There are some 3 slides, and it shows you, and actually those people, our Zoom listeners, they might be easily able to Google now and ask, what is PERMA model? PERMA. PERMA model in positive psychology. So, there, P stands for positive emotion like gratitude, love, compassion. And I told you, if your goal setting is motivated by gratitude, compassion, it is highly likely to reach that final goal because it is naturally encouraging to make a difference in this world. To see somebody is smiling because of you, somebody is eating, somebody is learning because of you in a positive manner. So, gratitude is very important in whatever we do. Gratitude, compassion, our endeavors should be based on such positive emotions. And when you work motivated by gratitude or love, compassion, you have some chance to engage with others. There is engagement. So the E stand in the model, capital E stand for that engagement. First one is P for Peter, E for eating, right? Then R for act, relationship, right? You get a chance to build some positive, good, helpful relationship because of your goal, relationships. You see, Buddha talk about all these aspects. Actually, this positive psychology, it is based on Asian religions. They were nourished mainly from Buddhism. Mainly from Buddhism. So this is nothing new. But when there are systematic studies to support our arguments, like goal setting, how goal setting is important, we are really encouraged and it is very inspiring. Then, what is the next letter of the model? M. M for man, right? Meaning. M stands for meaning. Meaning has two aspects. One thing is meaning. What does meaning means here? Meaning is when you make a difference in this world, having seen that, you see some meaning. And also, when you stand for something greater than yourself, something nobler, something loftier, something greater, something holier than yourself, you see meaning. And also there is meaning in social service, in meditation, in mental meditation, right? In teaching, in supporting monks, in education, there is meaning. Then A stands for accomplishment. On the way to attain final goal, you said there are minor accomplishments. As an example, as a young man, 25 years ago, I went to a Buddhist monastery, right? My parents then were not practicing Buddhist, to be very sincere. And I'm the kind of a black herd, sheep in the herd like kind of situation. I was different. I'm very grateful for that, my decisions. Then I went to a monastery. It was something new, though, because we were not practicing Buddhist. There was some learning curve. The way monks speak, their values, some are different. So I had to learn this. And so I make some resolution. I somehow learned this new culture. Those monks, they didn't use mattresses. They just, on hard wooden plank, they slept. And to my great surprise, I also later learned that, sleeping on a hard floor can be as comfortable as sleeping on the best mattresses in the world. Yes, we can have few wishes. So, long story short, now we have some opportunity to associate with others and we adopt ourselves to various situations when we have right goal. And it is called based on, going back to my main point, what is accomplishment? Let's say after becoming a monk, Buddha expects us to be under one particular teacher at least for 5 years. And this is very demanding because we always love our freedom, right? All people want to control others. Many people want to control others, but nobody likes to be controlled. Isn't that? So there is inevitable conflict. So monks also, naturally, we like to control others in some ways, at least some monks. That is an instinct. But we don't like to be controlled, we don't like to be guided. Right? So I had some short-term goal that I made the resolution. Somehow I stayed one teacher for 5 years, and it was really difficult because there were monks of diverse perspectives. Young people, some were outgoing. Maybe you have heard that the psychological terms introverts and extroverts, right? So some are introverts, some are extroverts, some are outgoing, some are socialized. They like to be social. They like social service. And when those ones who are inclined towards social service, they attract many people and they serve some purpose. But the problem is the introverts might not like it. They are annoying. So there are conflict, but I made a resolution. Somehow I stay under one teacher and I did. So after the accomplishment, my mind is inspired. I am happy. I look back. How did I achieve this? And I show that I was grateful for the opportunity I got. I maintained, I didn't damage my relationship. I saw meaning in every situation and I achieved this. So, in this goal setting and in this context, there is a positive feedback loop that supports and strengthens where you start. So, in conclusion, I would like to point out some important benefits of goal setting. Those who have a good specific goal, believe it or not, they live longer. It is evidence-based, research-based. They live longer. Their immunity is higher. Can you believe it? Immunity is higher. And also they are good in maintaining good social relationships. They can control their emotions better than others. Their emotional health, psychological health, biological health, social health, spiritual health, in every way, they show some progress and they do better. So, in conclusion, please try to make a good goal regarding your life. Think for yourself and try to establish a good goal for your liberation journey, as I explained. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for that very, very powerful and useful teaching to us, which are knowledge and research. Any other questions? No. So in that case, please end and we end with the transference of merit.
Okay.
And
okay, thank you. So, all well-earned merits today we share with all heavenly beings and all departing friends and relatives. May all heavenly beings share these merits and may they fulfill their good wishes and may they attain the supreme bliss of liberation and say sadhu. May all of our departed relatives and friends also share these merits. May they fulfill their good wishes and may they do attain the supreme happiness of unshakable peace of Nibbana. Akasattaa ca bhummattaa deva naga mahittrika punyantang anumoditva chiram rakkantu sas